Hello, my name is Rich Keener. I'm the Village Manager for the Village of Villa Park, and today's another one of our segments where we'll discuss the upcoming Committee of the Whole meeting and board meeting agendas. So today we're going to discuss Monday, February 22nd's Committee of the Whole and formal board meeting. And as always, I always remind everyone that the Committee of the Whole will start at 7:30, and then the formal board meeting starts directly after the Committee of the Whole meeting. So let's start. So Monday, February 22nd at about 7:30, we'll start the Committee of the Whole meeting. So number 1 on the agenda is call to order. It's the roll call. Number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Number 3 is amendments of the agenda. And that's the appropriate time for the President and Board of Trustees to revise the agenda. They could take something off, modify the language, ask questions about some items, and that's the appropriate time. Number 3, amendments of the agenda. Number 4 for the Committee of the Whole is presentation of the Holiday Decorating Awards by the Community Pride Commission. And unfortunately, they don't usually give me the addresses of the homes because I would steal their thunder. So Monday, they'll let everyone know on live TV what the addresses are. They'll have the homeowners there, and they'll present the awards. So I'm very excited. I don't think it was me, or they probably would have told me by now. So count that one out. So number 5 for the Committee of the Whole for Monday night is to consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, abating the tax hereto levied for the 2015 General Obligation Bonds Alternate Revenue Source 2009A, which is $7 million, and Taxable General Obligation Bonds Alternate Revenue Source Series 2000B of the village. And what this really means is we're waiving the village's ability to levy a tax to pay the principal and interest for this coming fiscal year. The debt associated with the 2009 Series A and B General Obligation Alternate Revenue Bonds is funded through tax increment financing dollars and the Build America bonds payments. There are sufficient resources available to make the required payments for the 2016-2017 fiscal year, which is May 1, 2016 through April 30th, 2017. Thus, no additional tax money is required to make these payments, and any monies associated with the 2009 Series A and B bond issues can be waived for the 2015 tax levy. And we say 2015 tax levy because we pay our property taxes in arrears, so it gets kind of confusing. Therefore, it is recommended that the village board adopt an ordinance to waive the property tax levy connected with the 2009 Alternate Revenue Bond Series A and B. And folks, that's about $625,000 for next fiscal year would be the principal and the interest payments for those. Number 6 for the Committee of the Whole is to consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the sale by public auction of personal property and seized vehicles owned by the village. So we only have one vehicle this time around that we want to sell and put it up for auction, and that's our vehicle number 39. It's a 2002 Ford Crown Victoria. That vehicle was a former squad car. Then it went to the fire chief for a vehicle for a number of years, and then it went to a building inspector of ours for a number of years, and now it's just time for that one to be sold. It's got plenty of miles, plenty of rust. We've definitely got our money's worth out of that one. So we want to sell that one, and what we always do is we'll sell that via auction, and we'll take the proceeds, we'll put them back in the equipment replacement fund, and we'll buy some more equipment. Could be a car, could be tools, it could be security software, could be many different things, but that's what we do with the proceeds. So number 7 for the Committee of the Whole for Monday night is to consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing amendment number 1 to the software license agreement between the Village of Villa Park and North Harris Computer Corporation for its CityView software program in the amount of $60,089. So staff has completed creation of a master address database and recently implemented a code enforcement tracking system. Phase 2 of this project is adding capability to track permits and inspections under the CityView software. Harris Computer Corporation has submitted a proposal in the base amount of $60,089, which includes the permitting and inspection modules, 5 additional concurrent software licenses, and conversion of the existing permitting database. Costs are to be divided among the corporate, equipment replacement, water and wastewater funds. And folks, what we've done is we had CityView software installed throughout the village. So we have assembled a massive database of properties by PIN number, by address, and everyone, all the departments, all the employees have the ability to access that single database. So when you want to look up a property, just to see who the owner is, or if the water's on or off, it's located in the database. And we update this database every day, not all the parcels every day, but throughout the week, we just keep adding information to that single database. Prior to that single database, Public Works had a database, Fire had a database, Police had a database. We tore down the walls. We all use the same database. We all use the same information. We all update to that database so everyone can see what's happening at any individual property. And that could be residential or business alike. And now we're going to build on that by adding permitting and inspection. So when we're done, if you, a homeowner or a business, are doing remodeling and you think to yourself at 12 o'clock midnight, hey, I want to schedule an inspection, you'll be able to go on our website, schedule an inspection by using the software once it's completed and up and running. And so you'll just plug in your inspection on a calendar for the building inspector. And then when the building inspector comes in, he'll pull up his calendar and you'll be on there because you scheduled it. And he'll know where he needs to go or she needs to go. So it's more efficient, it's more user-friendly, and certainly more residential and commercial friendly too, to get out in the field and you schedule your inspection when you want. For the permits, you go on and you enter your information for your permits, and you can do that at 3 o'clock in the morning to get the ball rolling. And we're going to see if you can pay for your permits via credit card too on this portal, and then you'll be paid. You won't have to bring a check down or cash, etc. So more user-friendly, more efficient, and just keep things moving along. So enough said on that one. How about if we go on to number 8, which is consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code. And this is a motor fuel tax adjustment. Village staff proposed to utilize motor fuel tax, MFT, funds to pay for the local share of the Roosevelt Road Sidewalk Program. An MFT resolution authorizing $175,400 was passed in 2011. A supplemental resolution authorizing MFT funds to cover the remainder of the local share in the amount of $20,149.37 needs to be submitted to the Illinois Department of Transportation, otherwise known as IDOT. Folks, what this means is the Roosevelt Sidewalk Program, project if you will, was completed in 2012. IDOT did it, and they went over budget. So what we need to do is we need to pass a supplemental resolution to use $20,149.39 additional MFT funds so we can pay for the sidewalk program. And if you remember the last few weeks that I've been up here discussing the Committee of the Whole and formal board agendas, our projects had deducts with measurements in the field. Well, this is an addition. So they had a cost overrun. So unfortunately, it's another $20,149.37. The sidewalks are all done. It just takes IDOT a while to bill you, if you will. They're years behind. So Number 9, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a parking license agreement for off-street parking on village property between the Village of Villa Park and UCP Seguin, the lessee of 17 East Park Boulevard, Villa Park, Illinois. UCP Seguin at 17 East Park Boulevard wishes to park company vehicles on village-owned parcels within the property index numbers of 0610118019 and 0610118024. A license agreement would be needed to grant UPC Seguin permission for the exclusive parking rights via village-issued parking permits. What's taking place is UCP Seguin would like to use the village's property behind their business, and it's our parking lot, and for them to have exclusive rights to the parking lot for between 3 and 4 vehicles, for them to park in those spaces, they need a license agreement with the village. They need our permission to park in those spots, and we will give them permission if it's approved Monday, and we'll give them parking decals so they can park in the village's parking lot on a regular basis behind their business. And folks, this is a brand new business coming to Villa Park at 17 East Park Boulevard. So we're doing this to be business friendly. And folks, we really don't use that particular parking lot. We do store the French Market equipment there, the uprights for the components that actually go into the roadway to hold up the awnings and etc. So that's there, and then there's extra parking spaces. So it's kind of a great use of the area to bring in a business and let them use the parking lot. And so number 10 for the Committee of the Whole is convene to the formal. So folks, there's just a few minor issues for Monday night on Committee of the Whole. And so what we always do is we carry those items over to the formal, and if they're non-controversial, we put them on the consent agenda. If it appears they may be controversial, we let them have a vote by themselves. And so let's start. So remember, the formal board meeting commences right after the Committee of the Whole. So the first thing on the formal board meeting for Monday night, February 22nd, is the village president's report. And folks, that's the appropriate time for President Bullwinkle to kind of give you and folks in the audience kind of a background summary of what's been happening in her role as president since the last time we met. It could be emails, telephone calls, and it could be even questions for staff. So number 2 on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. And that's the appropriate time for folks in the audience to come to the podium, be recognized by President Bullwinkle, and address certain items on the agenda. They may have questions or comments that may not be clear enough for them. And folks, what we do is in the headers of the particular items that are contained on the Committee of the Whole and the formal agenda, we try to explain it as best we can in a couple of sentences, including the cost. We always put the cost of the project last in that sentence, so you know right away it's a project, what's the cost. We just don't do that with the deducts and the additions. We kind of explain that in the summary, but we let you know as much as we can in that introductory couple of sentences. So enough said, let's go on to the agenda. So 3 was amendments of the agenda, which is the appropriate time for the President and Board of Trustees to make amendments to the formal agenda. And this could be changing text. It also could be taking something from the consent agenda and pulling it out so they can vote separately. Number 4 on the formal agenda is the consent agenda. And A is bill listing dated February 22nd, 2016 in the amount of $1,429,079.15. B for the consent agenda is minutes from Village Committee of the Whole meeting for February 8, 2016. C is minutes from the Village formal board meeting for February 8, 2016. And D is the first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, waiving the tax hereto levied for the 2015 general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source 2009 and 2000B, general obligation, alternate revenue source bonds for the village. So the debt associated with the 2009 Series A and B general obligation alternate revenue bonds is funded through tax increment financing dollars and the Build America bond payments. There are sufficient revenues available to make the required payments for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. Thus, no additional tax money is required to make the required payments. So, the monies associated with the 2009 Series A and B bond issues can be abated for the 2015 tax levy. Just as I mentioned in the committee of the whole, we pay our taxes in arrear, and that's why we say 2015 tax levy. Therefore, it is recommended the village board adopt an ordinance to waive the property tax levy connected with the 2009 alternate revenue bonds, Series A and B. So E for the consent agenda for Monday night is a first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the sale by public auction of personal property and seized vehicles owned by the village. So we only have one vehicle that we want to auction, and that's Village Vehicle number 39. It's a 2002 Ford Crown Vic. Used to be a squad car, used to be the fire chief's car, used to be the building inspector's car, and now it's time for this car to be auctioned off because it's got plenty of miles, plenty of rust. We've definitely got our money's worth out of it. So we'll sell this vehicle and we'll put the funds right back in the equipment replacement fund. So F for the consent agenda for Monday night is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing amendment number 1 to the software license agreement between the Village of Villa Park and it's N. Harris Computer Corporation for its CityView software program in the amount of $60,089. Staff has completed a creation of a master address database and recently implemented code enforcement tracking system. Phase 2 of this project is adding capability to track permits and inspections under the CityView software. Harris Computer Corporation has submitted a proposal in the base amount of $60,089, which includes the permitting and inspection modules, 5 additional concurrent software licenses, and conversion of the existing permitting database. Costs are to be divided among the corporate equipment replacement water and wastewater funds. So G for the consent agenda is resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code. And this is a MFT, motor fuel tax, resolution. Village staff proposes to utilize motor fuel tax, MFT funds, to pay for its local share of the Roosevelt Road Sidewalk Program. An MFT resolution authorizing $175,400 was passed in 2011. A supplemental resolution authorizing MFT funds to cover the remainder of the local share in the amount of $20,149.37 needs to be submitted to the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT. And like I mentioned formerly, the Roosevelt Road Sidewalk Program going west towards Hagerty and Sonic, that's all been installed. It was installed in 2012 by IDOT. It was a cost overrun of $20,149.37, so that's what we're doing. We're passing an MFT resolution so we can pay IDOT the remainder of our share for the sidewalk installation. So H in the consent agenda for Monday night on the formal agenda is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a parking license agreement for off-street parking on village property between the Village of Villa Park and UCP Seguin, the lessee of 17 East Park Boulevard, Villa Park, Illinois. So, UCP Seguin, located at 17 East Park Boulevard, wishes to park company vehicles on village-owned parcels within the property tax index numbers, in other words, the property tax numbers, of 0610-118-019 and 0610-118-024. A license agreement is needed to grant UCP Seguin permission for the exclusive parking rights via village-issued parking permits. So we're going to allow them to park in the village's parking lot by giving them the license agreement and a parking permit, which they'll put in the windshield of their vehicles. And number 5 for the agenda for Monday night, so we're leaving the consent now and we're going on to number 5, is public comments on non-agenda items. And that's the appropriate time for folks in the audience to come to the podium and be recognized by President Bullwinkle and address the President and Board of Trustees and having questions which are refer to items not on the agenda. So moving on to number 6 is the Village Clerk's report, and that's the appropriate time for Village Clerk Kornecki to kind of give us a background summary of what's been happening in her role as a village clerk since the last time we met. Again, it could be emails, it could be some meetings she's attended, it could be the upcoming SALT meeting, and she tries to make it interesting, and there's a lot going on in the clerk's role actually. Number 7 is the Village Trustees report, and that's the appropriate time for each of the trustees to ask questions of staff or kind of bring an update to all of us on what's been happening in their role as a trustee since the last time we met. And it could be emails or meetings they attended, and they kind of give us updates and summaries on some of the commission meetings they've attended or events on behalf of the village. Number 8 is my report, the village manager's report, and that's the appropriate time for myself to kind of give you and the staff in the audience and the board kind of an update on what's been happening in my role since the last time we met. It could be many different things. It could be salt usage, could be a fire, it could be equipment breakdown or emergency repairs. I try to keep it interesting. And so this week I may talk about how much salt we have on hand, because we haven't used that much this year. I only had maybe 4 events, so we're saving a lot of salt, we're saving on overtime, we're saving on maintenance of village vehicles, because when you plow when you plow snow, it's very hard on the transmissions, it's very hard on the snow blades on the plows, so a lot of equipment breaks down, a lot of repairs are needed, which sometimes causes overtime because it's in the middle of the night, but we've been very fortunate this year. So, which is great. So anyway, I try to make it interesting. Number 9 is the village attorney's time to kind of give us a brief summary of what's been happening in their role. And folks, there is a lot happening in the village attorney's role because the state legislature is now meeting again. Some bills are being proposed, whether it's in the House or the Senate, and changes are being made. So they may have some updates this week on particular proposals which have been proposed in Springfield. And of course, this week we had the budget addressed by the governor and some other things take place. So a lot's happening in the month of February and March and as we go forward. Number 10 is to consider executive closed session. We will be going into executive closed session, and when we come out there will be no decisions made. It's just updating the board. So under 10, it's A, 5 ILCS 120-2, C5, which is purchase or lease of property. B, 5 ILCS 120-2, C6, sale or lease of property. C, under 10, executive closed session, is 5 ILCS 120-2C, subsection 21, which is discussion of closed session minutes. So we'll go into closed session. Staff will update the President and Board of Trustees. We'll come out of closed session, and number 11 is adjournment. So it's really not a bad agenda for Monday night in length or content. Selling a vehicle, doing a license agreement, doing an MFT resolution, so, and then waiving tax levy. It doesn't get any better than that. So, but we do have the State of the Village Town Hall meeting coming up, and that'll be this coming Thursday, February 25th at 7 o'clock, and that'll be at Willowbrook High School in the auditorium. So we'll be there early, so come on in early and have a seat. It starts at 7. I'll have a PowerPoint just like I've had in previous years. Each slide will probably be limited to 4.5 minutes, and then it goes to the next slide to kind of keep me on task, because you know I can talk a lot. We do have a lot of exciting things that we've completed this year, not only for roads but other departments. We've done some things to meet our strategic plan. Fiscal year 2016 and 2017 have a lot of things in the works for streets, software. A lot of different departments have things going on, but I'm not going to steal my own thunder for Thursday, so you're just going to have to come and enjoy or watch the tape. I believe Mr. Al Stash will be there taping, and then we'll put it on our website. Al does a wonderful job. So again, my name is Rich Keener. I'm your village manager, and it's my honor. So I hope to see you at either the board meeting on the 22nd, Village Hall meeting on the 25th, or maybe you'll see me running down the Prairie Path. The weather's going to be beautiful. Want you to take care. Hope to see you soon.